doing today. So, today, I want to talk about personal demons and the struggle, right? Because we all go through it, essentially. We all have our own personal demons that come to us in many different ways, many different times. But what are they? How to how to magnify them, how to pull them out, how to see what it is that we're talking about when we talk about a personal demon. Now, when you say demons, a lot of people get kind of like cooked out um, with the religions and all this kind of stuff. But what they're trying to teach you essentially is that everyone has their own personal demons. And a lot of the times they don't come in the manifestation of some scary monster. Um, a lot of times they come from habits, places, things, people. All these different things are different forms of demons in your life. Anyone that makes you feel insecure about who you are and what you're doing. Anyone that makes you seem out of place. Any place that makes you feel out of place. These are all personal demons that you have to deal with in your life. The problem is that it's usually hard to stay away from these kind of places, these kind of things, because they always come in good forms. Like when you think about it, I think about McDonald's, right? McDonald's is a personal demon for a lot of people, but it tastes mad good, right? And it looks like it's always happy. They have a clown, all this stuff. They have a happy meal, right? So like your demons don't always come in the form of scary things. Sometimes they come from familiar things. They come from things that are comforting, things of that nature. That's a tough thing, right? My demons, I have a few demons I deal with. I have demon of smoking weed. That is a demon, right? Because essentially, when I do it, it's an escapist move. Um, Now we got so many people who talk about medicinal, either for medicinal purposes and all these different things, but most of us use that as an excuse just to talk about the escapism that we need in the moment. It's crazy to think about it that way. That you need this one plant, this one thing, and I smoke it, and it just takes me away, in a sense. But I always come back to the problem. It never leaves me, but I guess for a few moments, for how long ever the high lasts, you're just kind of in this space, right? Strange. Another demon, right? For me, that I battle with is sweets, right? Like cookies and shit like that, garbage food. That's a huge demon that I fight with. A sweet tooth. Now, since I've been eating a lot more fruit and stuff lately, that's helped. However, I find that if I go through personal struggle, like when I go through stress and things of that nature, I want to like make myself feel better. So I'll go grab a cookie, some shit like that, or grab snack foods like these snack foods and things of this nature. Now, ever since I became a vegan, they obviously became vegan snack foods and things of that nature, but still, it's like the root of why you're doing it. So like when I think about these things all the time, and when I think about like your demons and things of that nature, I like hold it to like intention, because I like to like think about certain things. Like 'cause we look at religions and things of this nature, and they talk about demons, they talk about sin, they talk about all these kind of like scary topics, um, and I like to think about that stuff as like a form of intention, essentially. Because if my intention is good for something, right? If I'm doing it with a good intent, I feel like that automatically splits what's going on here. Yeah, what's up, bro? um, but essentially, we talk about demons, we talk about splitting. and we talk about intention, I like to think about like when you have sex with someone, right? This is the way that I like to think about these things. Just because when we look at sex, there's two ways you can look at sex, and I feel like this makes it hard for people to say that an act on its own is sin. I feel like intention has a lot to do with it as well. Now, if I have sex with someone, if I see this girl, and the moment I see her, it's all lust, and I just want to have sex with her for pure pleasure, that's one way I can do it. Now, on the other end of it, if I see this girl, I'm attracted to her, I meet her, I get to know her, all that stuff, after a while, we end up having sex, but I actually care about her. That one same action has now split into two different things, right? That one action now has two different intentions, two different wills behind it. One of them was strictly for pleasure of self-fulfilling, and you use the other person as an object to get to where you need to go. On the other side, it was something that came from something that was mutually beneficial with both people's intentions in mind. So things of this nature, I feel like this is where we created that notion of the devil, of your demons, where your demons hide, right? So for a long time, too, I had a problem with lust. I had a lust issue, lusting for things. Now, lust, when you have that in you, manifests in many different forms. Lust for money, lust for women, lust for status, lust for all these different things. When I started doing that, I found that I was chasing things all the time. I was always on the chase. It was a tiring life, to be honest with you. I was chasing either a status, I was chasing a feeling, I was chasing a notion of myself, all these different things that weren't necessarily me, but it was something that I thought that I wanted. Again, I had my demons came out in these things. And when you move with your demons, you see more, you only find more demons at the end of the hallway. Right? So the more that I moved out of lust, the more that I chased lust and wanted these things. I wanted money, I wanted a nice house, I wanted a nice car, all these and things along that road. I met people who didn't necessarily have my best interests in mind. And that's tough, right? Lust for winning the championship swag. That was easy. We didn't have to lust for that, bro. Um, but we talk about this, like, and when I think about these notions, and people are always talking about how they're battling with their demons, or talking about how you fight your demons. And a lot of people just have trouble acknowledging what the demon is that they're trying to fight, right? What that bad side of them is that they're trying to get rid of, because it comes out in many different ways. But we always make excuses for our demons, right? I was talking with one of my cousins the other day, and he was telling me about how every time he does something good, right, it's because God told him to do something good. However, when he does something bad, that's his fault. So I sat there and thought about that, and I think about like religions and things like this, and I just thought about that notion for a second. That you can take yourself completely out of the picture. And his view of God was that God led him to do great things, and that it was his fault when he messed up. Well, then why wouldn't he help you all the time? See, so when I talk to him, I'm just trying to talk to him a little bit about the duality that resides within you. The demon and the devil were just a representation of a side of you. Because we all have that side of us. Right? We all have a lower self. We all have the lust. We all have the demons that manifest. The more I search and live within my demons, the more I find myself being closer to the devil. However, if I ascend and look for things that come in the higher form of it, right? If I go for mutual gain all the time, if I'm looking for gain of more than just myself, I'm not lusting after things, I'm actually looking to attain higher knowledge, attain for a higher power, attain for a higher purpose, right? That's when you move to the Christ consciousness side, as opposed to the devil, the duality that resides within you. Now, all of us have good and evil in us, right? So if God created everything, God created good and evil. He must have, right? there must be a purpose for both, right? And when you talk about Hermetics, you go into Hermetics, they talk about polarity. And we're all polar, because if there's one, there has to be another, right? There can't be one without the other, because if I didn't know what bad was, then I'd never know what good was, right? So there's a beauty in these two dualities of life. But it's hard, right? It's hard to realize and understand sometimes, because a lot of the times the things that feel really good for us aren't really that good for us, right? The things that taste really good to us aren't really that good for us. It has to come with a knowledge and understanding all the time. And that's just like us, right? As beings, as people. Like beings and people have to come with a notion of understanding all the time. And that's where I find myself having a struggle sometimes just with who I am, right? Like with like smoking weed, like that's a tough thing for me. It's a tough give all the time. I find myself becoming weak to it sometimes, and that's like an issue, right? Because I know the only times that I want to is when I want to escape from something. Just like sweets, I only want sweets when I feel like I need comfort. I know for a fact. When I'm stressed, I go to weed. When I need comfort, when I feel like something's very unstable, I go to sweets. Just junk food shit. And that's like my thing, right? That was my problem. I beat lust a little bit. Lust I've been able to beat. Lust I've been able to kind of get in control over the last like year or so. By abstinence and things of this nature, I've been able to kind of control the lust notion. So like lust I think I've done pretty good with. However, there's always temptation out there. New level, new devil, right? Every single time you think you get better at it, someone comes around and tempts you, right? You gotta stay strong. However, with the last two, that's like where that's where I battle right now. With the weed and then like the junk food stuff. Like that's like really where I go at. So even like recently, I've like had to break off a relationship with someone. And ever since then, in that emotional like instability, it's really made me see a lot more of things that I need to work on in a sense as well too. Because you always get these points in life, right? Where you've grown up in a sense. And you grow to a point where you think that you can handle like so much shit, right? You think you have a great handle on certain things. However, then something will shake it up and it will test you, right? Life's full of tests and objectives and obstacles. And they always test you. They always come around to test you. You always get a test. Whenever you get complacent and comfortable wherever you at, life always comes for you. It has to. There's no other way for life to be, or it wouldn't be life. You wouldn't be experiencing anything. So like, how do you pick out your demons? How do you know you have a demon that you're dealing with in your life? Right? If you ever feel like you have to do something, if you feel super compelled to do something, but the intentions don't always seem right, you're probably dealing with a demon there. If whatever you're doing comes at the expense of another, the expense of something else all the time, you're dealing with a demon, right? You're dealing with a demon in your life. So like, how does that go? So if I'm always like looking to eat all the best food all the time, if I'm always looking to have the best like steak every single time I go out, I'm just lusting for steak and doing all these things. Now you can look at this in two different ways. The way I look at it now is, again, people hate me for this, but when you eat meat, you're getting pleasure off the expense of something else, right? Essentially. And it goes for no matter what I eat. If I'm overindulging in anything, there's a problem. So if I'm always getting a pleasure out of the expense of something else, I gotta check myself, right? Because there's a million ways that that can happen. So if you get pleasure physically from another being, like another person, whether it's guy or girl, and it's strictly for pleasure of yourself, and it's not really with any intention for them in mind, right? That means that you have a demon for lust or pleasure. Do you think? Young hippie. I love you too, my G. I'm around, let me know. um, you got to keep moving. So essentially, with these things, with this movement, with this walk, we have to understand that we have to start pegging out things in our lives. So the only way for you to make steps forward is to take a look at the things that hold you back. And a lot of times it's hard for us to be legitimate and real with like ourselves because it is tough, right? And in the society we have today, like there's so many things that make you feel pegged down anyway. Things that make you feel like you're not good enough, you're not worthy of this, and this. Those are the things that you're constantly fighting with, right? The problem is that a lot of these things that we do, a lot of these things we partake in, allow us to separate from that without solving that, right? So if I work all week long, and I work 7, 8 hours a day, right? I sleep till 7. I wake up, I get dressed, I go to work from 8 to 6. I get out of work, get home at 7. I eat dinner. Then it's like 10. I watch a little TV, go to bed. Right? That's like a normal day for most people. So by the weekend, we've repressed ourselves. Right? So now we get to the weekend, and what do we all want to do? What does most of us want to do in this generation? We want to go out. We want to drink. We want to go and blow off steam. Right? We want to release whatever this is that was built up in ourselves. However, during the week and on the weekend, we're never really thinking about what's causing us the stress and if it's serving us. We're always just thinking about getting to the weekend, getting to do these activities and rituals that help us blow off the steam. However, we never really look at why we have so much steam in the first place. Why do we need this thing to help us blow off steam? What does that even mean? That I need something else besides my own personal physical utilities to get through any situation. That's something real that we gotta look at, right? We all should step back and look at that. If I don't have the personal utilities to get through certain things, then how and why was I even put here, right? But it takes time to refine it. And I'm here to say like it's hard, right? I work at it too, but I failed too. I go through my struggles just like everyone else. I see my obstacles sometimes and I let it trip me up. However, but I always get back up and start running again. I haven't jumped off the bandwagon yet. And that's the way that I see this move going. That no one probably is ever exactly perfect, but everyone always pushed as hard as they can. If you push for perfection, you get close to it. No one could be a perfect being. Like I can never come across and be perfect for every single person who meets me. I'll never be able to say everything in a way that reaches every single person that I talk to. I won't even be able to probably reach half of the people that I talk to, right? But maybe a couple people will see some of these things and be like, yeah, whoa, cool. Maybe I have some things that I need to look at in my life and check, right? I have some things that I have to see if this is serving me. You know what? That makes sense. I've been at this job all week. I go to this job every single day, and I'm miserable all the time. I feel like every time I get out of work, I need to drink to relax and blow some steam off, smoke cigarettes, do some kind of drug, right? All these different things are ways that you're telling yourself that you're dealing with a demon in a sense. You're dealing with something that's bothering you, right? And it comes in many different ways. Sometimes those are people in our lives, right? They drain you. They come and they drain us, right? And then when I say a demon, I'm not saying that a person is a demon. They're a demon in the perspective of your life, right? Because sometimes you have to put something like that, like a heavy, intense notion on something, for you to wake up to it and look at it the right way, right? If I always am calling something like, oh, it's just a stressor, right? We've even got to the point in our society where we're saying there's good stress. Oh, well, there's healthy stressors. That's not true. Stress is felt the same way throughout your body. Now, that's something that was used, right, to make you accept certain things in your life. Again, here we go with the notion and conversation of complacency, right? What is real stress? What is false stress? What is actual stress? What does it mean? And what do you actually stress about? And does it serve you? And that's a question that we all have to start asking ourselves, are what are our stressors? And is it right to even have a stressor? Because stressor, like when you think about what stress was given to you for, what that the notion of stress was really built for. The notion of stress was given to you to worry about food, to worry about protecting your family, things of this nature. We use stress for everything. Think about how many things stress people out in a day. Whether your Uber's late, right? You're late for work. Like the place that you want to go eat doesn't have something that you like there, right? All these different crazy things we just stress out about, right? There's so many stressors and blips in this reality right now. How do we tone it down, right? How do we tone it down? How do we get ourselves in a less stressful environment? We stress over money, we stress over all these things, right? But we also live in an environment today where everyone's trying to live up to some standard, right? We're all lusting after stuff. When we lust after things, there's stress that falls in line, right? Because I'm chasing. Anytime I'm chasing something, right, I'm using energy to get to it. Instead of being, we chase. So when we chase, we become lustful. When we become lustful, we stress, because when we lust after something and we don't get it, it's stressful, right? Because I might fail. Now, I'm not saying that everyone should be out here and be completely complacent in life, as in like just laying back and cooling all the time. No, but know what you're striving for. Know what you're chasing after. Know if the berry is worth the squeeze, right? Know if it's worth it. Because right now, a lot of us are worried about shit, and it's not worth it. We're worried, but the worth doesn't go there, right? Like we look at people who save up and go buy Jordans every release date, right? Now I don't think a lot of people that I know do this anymore. I think I'm getting a little too old, but I like using this because this is something I was going on throughout my whole entire childhood and growing up till probably about recently. And even still, I know there's a lot of people that I know that probably still go out and buy some Jordans. But you think about the shoes, right? And Jordans cost, as in like the product, right? Like in order to make a Jordan, it's $20, right? So you buy it for $200, $250, $300. Now, if it only really costs $20 and you spend $200, $300 on it, what is the reasoning that it needs to be that expensive? It's because of perceived value. It's not because of actual value of what it's worth. It's a perceived value, what you think it's worth, right? So we have to start to understand that in the ramifications of our lives, right? My perceived value of things isn't always what it's worth, right? So if I'm striving my whole life to have the Range Rover, so I work overtime all the time, I do all this stuff to get the Range Rover. Once I have it, is it ever really worth it? Was it worth all the time I gave up for this material? So, was it worth it? And that's where we need to start to check ourselves, because that's where your demons hide. Your demons hide when you lust for the thing that's not worth it, when the thing that doesn't have actual value. Because usually when you're chasing the thing without the value, you're missing all the things over here that are worth it. And that's tough. When I get high, I miss out on the opportunity to get rid of the problem and really solve and come down to the bottom of it. When I eat junk food out of my emotions, I give up my right and my way of coping myself and stabilizing myself and securing myself, right? But we all have our own ways of dealing with these things, right? We all have different mechanisms and things that we use to help us get through these stressors or to get by these demons. However, some of them are just putting a cloth over it and then just waiting till after when it pulls it back off and then doing it again to throw the cloth over for a little bit, right? It's like the scene in Big Daddy when like every spills or throw when the kid spills or throws up, he just puts some newspaper over it and then walks away. Stop putting the newspaper over it, right? Look at it. Go get the cleaning supplies. Take some time and wash it out, right? Take some time and wash out the stains. Get out the bucket and the mop. Get rid of it, right? Stop just putting newspaper over it. And that's what I have for you. That's all I have today. Stop putting out the newspaper. You can do it on your own, right? The only thing that ever stops you is saying that you can't do something or that you need something. When I say that I need this to do this, I need this to take off the stress, I need this to, then I'm putting my power in this. However, if I'm all I need to get rid of the stress, if everything I need to get over this is here, I don't ever need to look externally. Again, I don't need to look for my savior. I am my savior. I love you all and I love myself. Have a great day.